who represents Pittsfield, 135 miles west. That's almost in Montana, if my geography is correct. Is that pretty close, right?
10 miles from the state of New York.
10 miles, and then it's Montana. Right, I remember that.
How's your geography these days?
No, I have great geography. Trust me, I have great geography. I was only saying that a little tongue firmly planted in cheek.
And contrary to popular opinion, Pittsfield is in the same time zone as Boston.
No, I'm very familiar with that. The western part of the state. As a matter of fact, I follow very closely a campaign which was run by Jim Boughton to rehabilitate the baseball field in Pittsfield.
At Wacona Park, that's right.
Yes, oh no, I follow issues in Pittsfield. Well, anyway, you're in your second term of the legislature. You're a Democrat, and you have, I'm sure, been interested in many pieces of legislation, but you are co-sponsoring a piece of legislation which would allow illegals here in Massachusetts to get driver's licenses.
Yes, Dan, thank you for asking about this. This is House Bill 3285, and what it will do is require that all drivers in Massachusetts be trained, licensed, and insured, even those who are not
required now?
They are not required to be. We have a de facto policy which basically allows many of our drivers to not be trained, licensed, and insured.
Wait a second. Let's make sure I understand this. My understanding is that I have to apply for a license. If I want to get, if I'm young, I want to go to driving school, so I get a break on my insurance, and then I have to be insured, and I can't let my registration run out, and I can't get my license run out. I thought, you mean I don't have to comply with those laws?
What I'm saying is that we have a whole segment of our population, okay, the people that are now living in Massachusetts that are driving without licenses.
So just, again, I just want to make sure. This is radio, so I just want to make sure. So this, we're talking about, and I know this probably sounds fundamental, we're talking about people who are here illegally, who are driving, don't have licenses, don't have insurance. Obviously, maybe the car's registered to someone else, but this is not going to affect me per se.
It will affect you, Dan.
How will it affect me?
Because
I have to comply with the law.
That's right, and I want everyone to comply with the law. And if you drive, you're a driver, or you're a pedestrian on the road, or your daughter is, or your mother, or your son, or your uncle, or anybody else is driving on the road with people who are not trained, licensed, and insured, they are less safe. The more people that we have trained, licensed, and insured, the safer our roads will be. We know this to be a fact. We know that in other states who have this law, that fatality rates go down.
How many other states have this law? 2, New Mexico, and what's the other state?
And Washington had that up until last year, and last year several other states, so now 13 jurisdictions, so 11 states and Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico now passed this law in the last year. Okay, so in New Mexico, when they passed that in 2003, fatality rates went down by 22%.
Now, so you're doing this. Your purpose in doing this is to make Massachusetts roads safer, not an accommodation to people who are here illegally.
Okay, so this bill is about public safety and about fairness. Okay, those are two things.
Two elements.
Two elements to it.
So what's the fairness element?
So first I'm going to say that when it comes to national immigration law, that's not what this is about. Okay, now if I'm going to be a little bit impolite here, Bill, and I hope that's okay. Dan, sorry.
It's okay. We're talking about a bill, so go right ahead. Right. It's easy to get confused.
The local radio host in Pittsfield is Bill. So.
Say hi to Bill next time you see him for me, will you?
So the knuckleheads in Washington have not been able to solve the national immigration issue.
Don't talk about the Democrats in Washington that way now. Come on.
If they need to solve the problem, they should have solved the problem by now, and they haven't. About 10 years ago or so, Massachusetts, a lot of other states were looking at this driver's license bill, and they said, you know what, this really should be handled by the federal government. Let's wait for them to handle it. And there was a lot of thought that it was going to be taken up in the next couple of years. And there's no reason now to believe that they're going to do it anytime soon. And so in the meantime, we need to make our state safer, and fair.
How,
So you
okay,
asked
I got
about
the
fair
safer.
part.
Yeah, give me the fair part because I
The
don't
fair
get that.
part is I pay my RMV fees. I pay for, and I have 3 teenagers, 2 of them who are driving. And so so my family, 4 of us driving, are paying for our licenses, for our permits, for driver's education, for driving tests. We pay all these fees, and a whole bunch of people in this state are not paying those fees. Now, according to the registrar,
Those are the people who are here illegally.
those are the people who are not documented. That's
Well, they're
right.
here illegally. I mean, I don't mean to. I just want to make sure that we understand.
Yes.
Use whatever phrase you want. They are here illegally. They're either overstayed a visa or they have come here and with the intention of coming here illegally. They're coming here. They're doing jobs that Americans aren't doing, or whatever excuse you want to know. However you want to phrase it. They're here illegally. They're not here. They're not legal residents. Okay.
So when if, according to the Registrar of Motor Vehicles, we could collect up to $15 million a year from people who are not paying their fees now. Okay? Now, $15 million a year is a lot of money in my book. I mean, I don't come across $15 million a year, just off the street. It's important that we collect the fees because our roads need
How much do you
repair.
think? Let me ask you this question. Okay, how much do you think? How many illegal residents, or whatever you want to call them, do we have in Massachusetts? What's the number? About 160,000.
It's approximately 150,000 to 200,000. It's hard to.
So let's
to
say
make that guess.
160,000. Okay, what cost do you think those folks are in terms of using services, including the roads, but schools and hospitals and I mean, there's a cost associated with them being here illegally, right?
When it comes to schools and hospitals, I believe that there is a cost. Of course,
What do you
there's
think
a cost.
that is?
I actually do not
Think it's
know
more
that
or less than
number.
15 million?
I think that it's probably more, but we also have to remember that those people living here contribute to our economy and pay about.
They don't pay taxes.
They pay income tax.
How do they pay income tax if they've been paid
I'm sorry,
under
I
the
meant to
table?
say sales tax.
Yeah,
So
so right.
$138 million worth of sales tax they're paying.
But sales tax as a percentage of what most people in Massachusetts are paying, it's a smaller percentage than the federal income tax and the state income tax that people pay. Let me take a break. We got to take a quick break. My guest is State Representative Tricia Farley Bouvier. She is from Pittsfield. Clearly, she and I have some disagreements on this issue, but we're going to treat each other very respectfully. I'm sure that she's a person who sees this issue differently than I do. If you agree with Representative Farley Bouvier, feel free to give us a call, 617-254-1030. Also, if you disagree, feel free. I don't think that Representative Farley Bouvier is going to change her mind. I think she's thought this out and she has a perspective on it. I don't think she's going to convince me, but I want to hear from you. 617-254-1030, 888-WBZ-1030. This is a very important issue. We had the case of Matthew Denise in Milford, Massachusetts.